In this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, we have a very special guest. Bella McCauley joins to talk about another historic season for her in the fall for the Minnesota Gophers. She won another event, plus has another big list of accolades added to her resume as an amateur golfer within the college space. So we're going to talk to her about her season and also having her younger sister on the team as well. So some big things there. Great conversation with Bella, a rising star in women's golf. So a fun one there. Also, we talk about the Hero World Challenge that's being played this week. Then we've got a Second Swing Finds segment as well. So stay tuned for another great episode of Second Swing Thoughts. Hey golfers, I'm Drew Maholder, Second Swing Golf, here for another episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. My co-host Sean Bauer is out today, not feeling the best. We'll have him back next week, of course. Great one today. As I mentioned, we have Bella McCauley joining for an interview. We talked to her about what she really put together a great college season in the fall anyway for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. She's already put together quite the incredible resume with the Gophers. She's made it to two national championships as an individual, which is very, very tough to do. She won the Big Ten tournament last year. And then this fall, in 4 events, finished top 10 in all of them, including a victory. So really cool to get her perspective and kind of how she's kind of rising in women's golf. So, but we also had to talk about this week the Hero World Challenge. It's not necessarily a PGA Tour FedEx Cup points event, but always fun to kind of get some of the best players in the world together. Tiger Woods hosts the tournament, so it's a big deal. He is not playing this week, unfortunately, due to some injuries, back surgery. Said he's not physically ready to compete at the highest level yet, but nonetheless, always a fun event. Some of the biggest names in golf are out there, and kind of can also, from the equipment side of things, if you're paying attention and maybe can zoom in on your TV, so to speak, you're going to be able to see potentially some new equipment being played by some of these guys if you really, really are looking at the details. So stay tuned for that. Of course, there's going to be lots of this time of year, right, is new product release time for the most part. So stay tuned for that and maybe get some previews of what's to come if you are watching the Hero World Challenge. Also of note, we have a big new release already from L.A.B. So L.A.B. Golf making waves in the golf equipment space with the putters, of course, kind of that lie angle balance phenomenon. And there's a new release here. This is the Oz or the OZ putter models. And it looks like, all we know about this so far, it's been kind of hidden from us here at Second Swing in the sense of we haven't gotten anything behind the scenes yet. But designed with Adam Scott, of course, been playing L.A.B. putters for a while now. He's done the kind of the broomstick style. He's done all kinds of different things looking for that solution. He had a really good year here in 2024. So really sleek look here. It's kind of taking that line angle balance. And I think what it does, at least from what I see here, it really brings it into a more aesthetically pleasing package for golfers that might be, so to speak, turned off by maybe the crazy look of, say, the Mez Max models. So the OZ, there's a 1i, and you can also get custom colors. You can also, interestingly enough, you have the option to do vertical or forward shaft lean with the setup of the putter as well. So a really good one there. We'll give you some more details and do some video content on it as well when we get the opportunity to. But another one to look forward to there. L.A.B. has been killing it, so I'm sure this one will be awesome as well. With that said, I think we can get into the interview with Bella. Again, great conversation, some awesome stuff from her. And we'll have some more content with her on the YouTube channel as well here coming soon. So stay tuned for that. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And without further ado, here's Bella McCauley. All right, we now welcome on the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. This is Bella McCauley. Bella joins us after a historic, really, fall season with the Golden Gophers. Bella, thank you for joining. This is actually, it's Thanksgiving week, and so we appreciate you taking the time. I'm sure you got some plans with family and everything, but thanks for joining and spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's going to be a fun podcast, and I'm excited to talk more.
Yeah, we're always following your progress and your success with the team. But first of all, we're now in November, like I mentioned, Thanksgiving week. So, and in the past, We've had you on the show before, and you've talked about kind of what the off season looks like.
Yeah.
And I remember you said like you will literally put down and not touch clubs. Is this that time of year?
Yeah, so right after fall season ended early October, so I took a good week off, not touching any clubs, and then just because courses were open and we have such limited time, I decided to get back into it, but I plan on taking more actual off time during the holidays, and then we'll ramp up season starting in January.
In January, okay. And then so the springtime is kind of the more, I don't want to say more important tournaments, but they're kind of the bigger events, and obviously that's when the national championship is, and the last 2 years you've qualified for that, but that's kind of when the maybe the more pressure-packed golf takes place in the spring, right?
Yeah, so the spring's our championship season. The fall and spring tournaments are equally weighted, but since it is championship season, it is just more tournaments going on, and obviously that's the time of Big Tens and postseason. So in January, we'll take some training trips. My sister and I, we're going to go on a trip together, do a little bit of playing and get used to playing outside again.
Right.
And then we'll take some trips with the team, and then we'll start tournaments again in February.
There you go. And you mentioned Reese, so I have to ask. So for those who don't know, Bella's younger sister Reese is also now on the Gophers. So you guys are teammates again. What's that been like to have your sister kind of as a teammate again with the Gophers?
It's seriously so fun. So we're a team of 7 girls, and so to have her and I both on the team, like just in such a small atmosphere, is really cool to be able to spend so much time with her, and rooming together on the road, and just even though we were on the team together in high school, this is just like kind of an elevated experience and spending a lot more one-on-one time together. And obviously in high school season is just such a short period of time, and this is year-round. So just being able to make memories together, especially on the road and at tournaments, has been so fun. But it's been a really great time, and I think these are memories I'll carry with me forever once I leave.
All right, I wanted to get into this fall season. So I've got some numbers in front of me that are very impressive. So you had 12 competitive rounds in kind of the team events this fall. Of those 12, 9 of them were under par. 5 of them were in the 60s. And you finished top 10 in each of those 4 team events. And then you obviously won one of those 2, which we'll get to. But what you hear those numbers, does that mean anything to you? Does it like do you look back and you're like, wow, that was like pretty good, or are you patting yourself on the? I mean, I guess I want to. How do you reflect on a run like that?
Yeah, I guess I haven't even heard the season put that way, so that sounds cooler than I even thought. But I guess, I mean, I felt like I was fall season's just such a short period of time. It's about a month, and I just felt like I was playing really good golf during that time. And as any golfer knows, you're kind of just have those on and off days, and I really felt like during that period of time I really was hitting it super well. I was putting really well. I just had a good feeling over the golf ball, and that's obviously like the most important thing going into any tournament. So I think it was just a really good stretch, and truly it was probably one of my best seasons I've had. And I mean, it was just I'm just super grateful. I think this year it's been really fun, just a great team dynamic, great with having Reese there. And I think a lot of those things, and just being comfortable, and it being my junior year is, kind of helps as well. But definitely just felt like I was having a good stretch of golf, and I'm hoping that can continue into the spring.
Yeah, I mean, and as I mentioned too, you had the win, and you also were on the Annika Award watch list. So what that was is, I think it's top 25, or you were the group of in the group of 25, which is basically just awarded to the best D1 women's golfer, I believe, is how that works. And so there was the 25 finalists, and you were on that list. What does that mean? I mean, it's because this is the entire landscape of college golf, and you have that list is a pretty prestigious one with some of the names on there that have say won at the Augusta National Women's Amateur and things like that. What does that mean to have your name on that list? Yeah,
it was such an honor. Seriously, when that came out, I was in shock for sure, and especially Reese and I just actually became partners with Stiefel too, and Stiefel is the award sponsor, if you will. And so to have that part tied into it as well, it was really cool, and to be able to represent Stiefel that way. But yeah, it's been a really cool. I mean, I really would never have imagined, like, going into my college career, that something like being on the Annika watch list would have happened. And so to be on the watch list is just really a dream come true. So it's so fun. And I think, I think it says a lot of just like the hard work that I put into it. But obviously season's not done, and hopefully we can continue it going.
Yeah. And then, so the win, this is your second now? A win as a Gopher, is that correct?
Third, actually.
Third, really?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So my first win was my first tournament of sophomore year in the fall.
Okay.
And then my second was Big Tens.
That's right.
And then third was this one. So.
That's right. I just was like totally forgetting about the big, the Big Ten conference tournament last year. Okay, so the Rodmore Intercollegiate out in Colorado, you went 66, 68, 68.
Yep.
Total of 14 under par. First of all, one thing I wanted to ask about, was that at high elevation? And if it was up there, did you have adjustments to make with like distances, yardages? What was that like?
Really good question. So we did play at a pretty high elevation. I want to say it was close to 5,000 feet or something.
So almost a mile high. They call it.
Definitely. And so we did have adjustments to make. We played a little bit longer. We played 6,600 yards, which adjusted, we figured out, was maybe around 6,100, 6,200, something like that. And so, it was definitely different getting used to it. What I did was I just counted 8% in all my shots.
Okay.
And so it was confusing because, when I play, I normally calculate. We can't use, we can use slope in our yardage books, not on a rangefinder, but on our yardage books. And so when I normally ought to do distance, slope, wind, and then now I was like also factoring in altitude.
Yeah.
So there were just like a lot of math equations going on. But it was, I think it was actually my first time playing in Colorado. So that was pretty fun. I knew it was going to be a really good experience. I'd heard really good things about the golf course, so I was super excited to play. And I think the course was really just set up to make a lot of birdies.
Yeah.
And
clearly, you made a ton of those.
No, I think it was just a really fun golf course. There's a couple of stretches of, especially like the way we teed off, we didn't always tee off on one every day. There were some stretches of just like couple par fives clumped and a couple par threes clumped. So like just having some, like, it was just kind of a fun round of golf, and like felt like you could be really scoreable out there, especially with the ball going so far. And so, it was just a really good time, and it was definitely like just make as many birdies as you can.
So when I noticed on the leaderboard, it seemed like, I guess I don't know exactly hole by hole and stuff what your lead was, but it looked like pretty early on in the tournament you had a lead, and whether it was a couple shots, 3 shots, you were up there at the top for at least most of the tournament. What was that like, playing with a lead for as long as you did, and kind of as large of a lead as it was, maybe at least a couple shots most of the time? Did you think about it? I know we've talked about before if you're kind of a leaderboard follower or not, or if that's even in your brain. So what were you thinking about, or were you just kind of, head down playing golf?
Yeah. Well, kind of like talk about this first. So the first round, Reese shot 65, I shot 66. And so she actually was leading going into the second day. And she looked at me on the range as we were warming up for the second round. And she's like, Bella, my back's like really sore. And I was like, okay, come on. Like, I'm trying my best here. But I think we do have like, we're really like get along great. We're not overly competitive with each other. But it is kind of fun to have like a friendly rivalry or just push each other. I would just say it's more of like an encouragement to like play as best as we can. It's not even that we would want to beat each other super bad. It's just that we want each other to do really well.
Yeah.
And so going in the second round, I played really well. I think I was leading going into day 3, and I've been in some of those situations before, and I think it helps having some of the past experiences, and I've learned to just really try to forget about it as much as you can. You know, you process it, you're like, okay, this is great. But you kind of just have to forget about it and move on. Like, try not to think about it during dinner and wake up and just go through the exact same routine, just like going out trying to play golf and acting like I have, you know, I'm coming back from, like, I'm 3 shots behind, just because you don't want to, like, I don't know, you just, it's easy to get in those situations and get overly excited and just like freak out. So, it was really fun. And I during the round, I wasn't really leaderboard watching the 3rd round. And, but I did have I had assumed where I was at. And I think I was actually started the round not super well. I was a couple over through like the first 5 holes. And then, so I knew I needed to turn it around. And then my second 9, I made like a ton of birdies. I made birdies on like the last 3 holes coming in, on that 9. And
okay,
just,
so it was probably for a while a little closer than maybe I'm kind of
it was
here.
really close for a while. And then, so I knew I needed to ramp it up. And then like the last 7 holes of the tournament, I just really I think I made like 4 or 5 birdies last like 7 holes.
I remember when we chatted about the Big Ten, I think you mentioned that in situations like this, you don't want to ignore it, but you want to keep it at bay. And then if it's towards the end of the tournament, you want to know how to play the hole, right? Like if you're up by 2, you're going to play the hole differently than if you're tied or trailing by a shot and you need a birdie. And so I imagine that's a little bit kind of what went into this, was knowing where you were and knowing you want to just know how to strategically play the last few holes.
Yeah, well, so I mean, like I said, I knew I wasn't playing super great, so I assumed it was close. I didn't even need to see the leaderboards for that. So I kind of just put myself into a gear of like, hey, you need to make birdies, and I did. And then towards the last like hole or 2, I think I asked my coach, or actually the last hole, I asked my coach, I was like, hey, like, what's this even at? And he's like, do you really want to know? I'm like, yeah, I need to know so I know if I need to make this putt or not. And he's like, yeah, you're up by 3 or 4 or something. And I was like, okay. So then you have like a better idea of how to play that last hole, just whether to be aggressive or not, or especially the last like 1 or 2. But going into like the last like 9, I still knew I needed to be pretty aggressive just because I was a little bit behind.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. I think you hear something like that, and then it's tough on grander stages, you know, on LPGA or PGA Tour events where there's leaderboards everywhere and you can see what's going on. But you see that so often and hear it from players. We've interviewed, you know, one I think back to is Mark Brooks, who won the 1996 PGA Championship. We've had him on, and he's always said it's something similar where it's you kind of keep your head down, you stay in your own little bubble. But then when it's time to figure out, and the tournament's coming to a close, you need to know a little bit of context as to where you're sitting, so you can play the holes how you want to. So so I had a couple questions equipment wise. Of course, we've done what's in the bag type stuff with you before. You've played Titleist woods, I think, and then you have the P790 irons. I know you've played you mentioned that putter, that Scotty Cameron putter that you've played for years and years. But since we've last talked to you, like going maybe say even this fall, like during this fall, did you make any changes? Has there been any updates to the bag?
Yes, so I've been with TaylorMade irons and then Titleist woods and everything else for as long as I can remember. It's kind of what I've stuck with. I actually did try the GT3, I believe in August, just getting ready for season, and I had that in 7-wood, 3-wood, and driver. And I really loved the 7-wood and 3-wood. Driver, I just felt like it wasn't the fit for me, and then decided to go back to my TSR3.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So still with Titleist and everything, but decided against the GT3 for the driver.
Gotcha. So you go to confirm then, I guess you have the TSR3 driver.
Yes.
And then you go GT3 3-wood and 7-wood.
Yep, and I think it's for the 7-wood, it's like a GT2, but
it is,
yeah, because I don't know if they make a GT3 7-wood.
Right. Okay.
But then the irons and then like Titleist hybrids, irons are all TaylorMade, so pretty much the same. Just added the GTs for the woods.
Yeah, and I know you get fit with Aaron, and Aaron, we love Aaron.
Yeah, he's great.
But he's awesome. But I imagine just kind of a a question here just on the perspective of someone at your caliber. You're trying to think as little about your equipment probably as possible. I mean, I think it's weird because, myself and the fitters here are like always thinking about golf equipment all the time. Mm-hmm. But someone in your position that's trying to compete at the highest level, you're probably trying to think as little about your equipment. Just give me something that is working for me and I want to go play.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some players that are really into equipment, and that's just kind of how they are. They might be a little bit more analytical too. I'm definitely not one of those people. I really couldn't tell you, besides like the fact that it's Titleist and TSR3, like why it's doing what it's doing. I just am definitely like a feel player in that sense. Whereas, even if the numbers are good, I just need to be out on the course, seeing the shot shape, seeing how it feels in my hands. And once I feel that, it's less about what's going on. And so that's why I just trust Aaron, because I'm like, Aaron, you know what, you put me in what you think, and then we'll go from there. And so it's a little bit of both. But yeah, I don't really think too much about it. I think one, I'm just not an analytical person.
Yeah.
But two, it's just harder for your brain to think of things that way. I try to just put a good swing on it, and then it should do what it's meant to do. So it's normally user error, not club.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's how you have to think of it, right? So, all right, so we're starting to kind of wrap up here, but we talked a little bit about the spring season and kind of when that gets going.
Yeah.
Do you have any, do you have a specific goal in mind for the spring? Or are you more kind of just let me go play golf, I'm going to do as best I can, and not so goal focused, I guess?
Yeah, I think, every year I do have a goal going into it. It's not something I over stress about if it doesn't happen, but I do try to have a goal or two going into every season. And so coming into this year, my goal was to win another college tournament, which I did, and also to make the Augusta Women's.
Oh yeah.
So that's my goal, definitely during it's an amateur event, so it would have to do it during my amateur career, and so that's definitely on the goal. And so I don't know if that'll happen this year or not, but that's definitely always one of the biggest things. And then also to go to nationals as a team, which would be really a special experience. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun, I bet. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, but yeah, I mean, obviously we're gonna be following your progress and wishing you the best of luck with reaching those goals. Thank
and
you.
It's been a lot of fun to see your career kind of blossom as a gopher. So, Bella, thank you for joining today and sitting down with us and having a chat. I'll also recommend golfers subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got some stuff coming with Bella here as well on the channel. So, Bella, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
All right, that was Bella McCauley. Again, awesome conversation, and clearly you can see kind of why she is sort of this rising star in women's golf. Continues to get better every single season, adding more to her resume, and apparently she kind of hinted at this idea of becoming a pro golfer one day, and obviously I think we can see that she would have some pretty good success in that world. So awesome to have her. We got some YouTube content coming with her as well. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you are. Also this week on the YouTube channel, we're going to go live at lunch Thursday this week. We are going to be joined by Tyler Fitzel in the Bay, testing some of the best used fairway woods. We've done drivers, we've done irons over the past several weeks. And so make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're tuned in. We go live at 1 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. So that will be a great one. And give us some of your ideas as well of what you think are some of the best fairway woods from the past maybe 5-10 years that have performed well. Maybe there's one in your bag that's lasted there forever and that you really trust. So we can add that to our test, of course, in the next day or so and make sure we have that one ready. So that'll be a great one. Also, one more thing to remind you of, Cyber Monday for us turned into Cyber Week. So we have our 10% off used clubs. Some restrictions apply there, but 10% off used clubs on our website going through the whole week. So secondswing.com, get the deal that you're looking for. Maybe there was a club that you were thinking about, not quite able to pull the trigger. Now you got 10% off to use to help that purchase a little bit. Or maybe you've got a gift for someone that you were eyeing, and now is a great opportunity to do that. So lastly, We do our second swing find segment with Sean. Of course, he's not with us today, but I still do have a fun one here. And this is actually it's actually from one of our video producers. We have a kind of a decorative background, so to speak, of equipment here in our studio. This one is a classic. I've got a Titleist Acushnet 5-wood. It's very used, but it's a nice, kind of a nice heirloom, so to speak, that we have in the studio. We couldn't find an exact year for this one. If someone could maybe help us out that's watching in the comments, we would appreciate it. But it's definitely been used, but nonetheless, it's awesome to see kind of an old look at this is the oldest Titleist club I've ever seen in terms of having that Titleist script on it. So an old 5-wood, clearly a wood or a persimmon wood. It's got the screws on the face as well. So a nice little throwback piece that we've got in the background here in the studio. If you're really paying attention, you've seen this for a long time in the background of our content. But yeah, grab this one. So all kinds of finds at Second Swing, whether it's on the website or kind of throughout our spaces here in our stores or our office. So golfers, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast, whether that's on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We appreciate you joining and listening to our content. Stay tuned for more great stuff coming in the future.